Hello, 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 and welcome to the first ever Finance Thoughts podcast. Um, what I'm aiming to do with this series is to basically create a set of podcasts based around financial strategies, essentially just making money online, which is what I do full time living. I make. Well, I was just gonna throw the numbers out straight away. Not gonna do that. But I make a living, basically through Amazon FBA currently, and I have set up various businesses in the past. So I've set up a website called downloadamixtape.com, no longer in existence, but one of the first businesses I set up. Another one called urbанtickets.co.uk, and I sold on eBay for about 3 years, I think it was. All this I'll go into more detail probably on a separate podcast, which will kind of not chronicle, but let you know about the stories and the kind of ups and downs that I've been through on this journey, you could call it. So 3 years on eBay, built up something like a 5,000 feedback score, which is quite high. Even though I don't really use it too much now, but eBay's okay. You can make money on eBay. Like I said, I'll get into each one separately. And now, I'm doing Amazon FBA, and that seems to be doing quite well. So I'm gonna roll with that. But I'm also looking for other strategies, other opportunities, other sources of income, to kind of diversify a bit. So I'm currently looking at stocks and a few other bits and pieces. But yeah, definitely for now, Amazon FBA is pretty good. I may look into coaching as well. I do coach people anyway. Just kind of people around me. People who I feel can help. Because my thing as well. A lot of people ask me why. Why would I just help people? Bring other people in. Doesn't it cause competition and this kind of thing? But to be honest, man, it's just really changing your mindset around that kind of thing and really just giving value, I guess. And look, most of the time, I don't ask for anything in return. I just want to give value. I don't want to be in a scarcity mindset. And this is going to be the first topic of this podcast, or the first. I don't know, what would you call it? The headline. It's late, man. It's late. But this is going to be the first subject of this podcast. Is really going to be the mindset that you have to go in to this kind of business, or to any business, and to a to a more of an extent, life in general. But obviously, we're going to keep it laser focused, because it's always easy to go off and ramble. I've written a couple notes to keep me on track. But we're going to kind of keep it as focused as possible, just on the mindset that you need to have. Obviously, first of all, you'll be wondering, should I listen to this guy? What's his credentials? Blah, blah, blah. I'm just someone who's a normal person, probably more a bit of an introvert, I guess. And I always just had the idea. My main thing has always been freedom, just have, freedom rather than necessarily being rich. Like that's not really, it's cool, but it's not my main focus. My main focus is to have freedom and to just be able to do what I want. I guess I'm that kind of person where I just need that in my life. I'm not really, never been a 9 to 5 kind of guy, or 9 to 5 person. So it's not, but at the same time, like I'm not, in my head, I'm not thinking, I want to buy this flashy car or these flashy jewels and whatnot. Maybe I would have done that in the past, but anyway. So with, I guess, credential wise, it's just the businesses I've just tried and tested. I've failed a lot, and I've succeeded. I've adapted. I've done all kinds of stuff, and now I'm gonna touch on these more as I get into the actual states of mind or mindsets that you need to, or that you might want to consider adopting. And with the Amazon FBA thing at the moment, we're looking at six-figure turnovers every year. And I've only been doing it, it's only coming up to 2 years. So, for the First 2 years have been good, but obviously you can't really just sleep on that and rely on that and expect that to just, you know, continue forever in perpetuity. Although, I'll try my best to obviously make that happen, but you have to think of different strategies. But yeah, so that's going well. So the first mindset I want to look at, or I think that you should adopt, or you should consider adopting, is having an abundant mindset. Now, this is like a key thing in life in general, and it's this idea of the abundant versus scarcity mindset. And if you know about Maslow, the hierarchy of needs guy, there's he breaks it down well. I can't remember what the book is called, but if you just search, it's not called Hierarchy of Needs, I don't think. But if you search Abraham Maslow, it's like the psychology of self-belief. I can't remember exactly, but it's very interesting because he goes into this kind of abundant mindset versus a scarcity mindset. And if I could just break it down quickly, basically the abundant mindset is that you realize that you're enough already, and what you do is a living out of that, right? So you're living out of the fact that you're enough already. Now, if you flip that with the scarcity mindset is basically, I'm not enough, so I need these external things. I have to have this, I have to have that, right? So if you have an abundant mindset, you technically you don't need anything. You don't need anything. And because you don't need anything, what you find is that more things come to you because of that. Now, if you want to break it down in simple terms, it's like this. Like, if you go into a meeting, if you go into, say you're a salesperson, you go into a sales meeting, and you talk to the person and you need this, like this is make or break for you. You put so much importance on this in your heads. This is the most important deal. If you don't get this deal, your whole business is going to fail. Now, the chances of you getting this deal are actually less because people can smell this neediness off of you, right? So this person knows you're needy, and he's like, oh man, like the person you're trying to sell it to, they're like, "Ugh," like, I don't want to. No, this isn't working for me. Like, I don't want to sell it to you. Whereas, like, if you're not needy, in the case of like, say your business is thriving, business booming, you don't need this. You're going into this sales meeting, you don't need this guy's business. Do you know what I mean? Like, you really don't need it. You want it, but because you're not needy, you're at a point where you can give value, right? So you go into the meeting. Maybe you don't even talk about sales. You just talk about, you just get to know the guy. You build up a rapport. You're easy. You're relaxed. He likes you. He likes your vibe. He likes your personality. You offer him to, maybe you say, oh, let's go for a drink afterwards. Let's chill. Let's watch a football match or whatever. If you're in an abundant mind state, you can do that because not that it doesn't matter whether you get the deal or not, but it's not life or death, right? You're in a giving mentality. You can either see it as a giving or a taking mentality, right? So if you're in this scarcity taking mentality, the person you're talking to knows that you're trying to get something from them, right? So you go into this meeting with a taking mentality, and the person can smell that on you. He knows that you just want something. He knows that he's not good, maybe not even going to get the best deal, or he may sense the taking mentality and realize that he can really undercut you. Like he can take you to the bottom, and you'll probably go for it because you just need to take something, right? So either way, you're going to get the worst deal, or you're not going to get a deal at all. And it's the same. It goes across the board. It's like, if you're trying to talk to the opposite sex, if you really need that person, you become across needy, you come across clingy, maybe you call them all the time, you know what I mean? And all these things are off-putting. Whereas if you've got an abundant mentality, which is to say, you not that you don't want them, but if they're not interested, it's cool. Do you know what I mean? And because you've got that kind of take it or leave it mentality, you're more likely to get it, if that makes sense. So, and it really just, it goes across the board. And you could even think of it like, sorry, just get a bit of water. You can think of it like if you're playing poker, right? So it's a good analogy that I wrote down already because it came to me and I thought, oh yeah, that's all right. But basically, if you're playing poker, um, you you wanna always, well, it depends what your strategy is, but a lot of the times you might want to play as if you've got a great hand or you've got a different hand to what you've actually got, right? So if you do that, if you play like that, and if you imagine and you feel it, then people think that you've got that hand. So whether you've got that hand or not, it doesn't even matter because you've come across as abundant, like as if you've got loads of chips and you've got a great hand. You get treated as such, right? If you The other option is to play it safe, and just play, fold every time you got a bad hand, play it safe, blah blah blah, and then slowly you'll notice your chips just, you know, just going down and further down and down and down. And I mean, it's one way to play it, but the problem is that what you're doing there is you're just surviving, and what we're talking about with abundant mindset is thriving. So you don't want to just stay in the game. You want to win the game. You're playing to win, right? So it's just a different mindset. And that's, I guess I touched on it there, but it goes that then leads on to the next thing, which is if you can get into a value giving mind state. So what that means is that instead of, okay, so you know what, I'll break it down into my experience, right? So there's loads of people I've come across in my life who you can smell it. They're just trying to get something, right? They're trying to get money, they're trying to get whatever, and they are in complete taking mindset. Like they don't care what they got to do. They'll befriend you as long as is necessary to get money from you or to get whatever it is they want. They're in a complete taking mindset, and it doesn't work. Is the number one. It doesn't work. Now I don't know if it's some karmic, cosmic thing at play or whatever, where these people don't get rewarded. Maybe sometimes they do. That's the thing. But in my experience, I've never really seen them successful unless they kind of stop that mindset, unless they change that mindset themselves. So, so what was I saying? So what you need to do is flip that into a giving mindset. That's the direct opposite. So look at where you can actually help people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like look at what you can do for the people around you. Don't. This is the thing that people get caught up in as well. It's like when people start in business, they always think, oh, because you've seen Wall Street or you've seen Wolf of Wall Street. In fact, you think, oh, I've basically got to fuck the other person. I've got to win this negotiation. Looking at it as a win lose. You want to win and you want the other person to lose. Now that's cool, but the problem is that you'll win that thing. But then when it comes next time, when you're going to negotiate with this person, they probably don't even want to work with you. They probably don't even want to negotiate with you. They'll rather buy whatever you got from somewhere else, or buy the service from someone else, because they've left a loser, and that feels terrible. Do you know what I'm saying? No one wants to feel that. So it's almost like a stereotype of what a business person should be, is like, eating up all the other businesses and whatever. But to be honest with you, the best way to do it is to really look. I mean, I would even give more value, like if I could. Do you know what I'm saying? And in general, I try and do that. Where I can. Like if you give a bit more value, like all right, so let's say it like this. Like if I do a deal where I could do 50-50, I could do where I get 60-40, or I could do where the person gets 60 and I get 40. So 50-50 is cool. You could do that all day. That's fine. If I do 60-40, the person maybe he'll be all right. Maybe I'm a really good negotiator and I've kind of hoodwinked him a bit. So he leaves, and then his mates or his business people say, oh man, you kind of got screwed on that deal. So next time he comes and does a deal with me, he's gonna play hard. Like he's not gonna relent or submit or whatever. He's gonna want to make sure he does a better deal than he got last time anyway. Or I could do 60-40 his way, And if I do that, he's more likely to look forward to working with me again. He's going to be like, it's like when you get a deal at the supermarket that you didn't expect, you're going to go to that supermarket again, maybe. Do you know what I mean? Or you know, uh, I don't know. You bought something from a local shop, an independent shop, and they said, oh, you know what? Why don't you take that one for free? Why don't you take an extra one for free? If they do that, I'm gonna go to them every single time, and they may not give me the free thing every single time, but just the fact that they've done it once, it just shows that they're people that I could work with. Do you know what I'm saying? That I'd want to buy from again, because it's not the paramount thing for them is making sure that I'm cool, not necessarily making sure that they're making money. Um, and don't get me wrong, like obviously don't like ruin your bank account giving people money if you haven't got it. But what I'm saying is that like it just makes people want to work with you more. Do you know what I'm saying? If you give them a deal, and if you're not so caught up on the precise numbers and figures and blah blah blah. Um, so if I do it 60-40 his way, more than likely he's gonna come back to me, whatever it is I'm selling. Say I'm a car salesman or something like that, and I'm looking to buy cars, or someone's looking to buy cars off me in bulk. If I give him slightly good deal, he's gonna come to me every single time. So how much is that business worth over a lifetime? Because he'll probably stay loyal, um, or even if he stays loyal for 5 years, how much is that business worth over 5 years compared to that one good deal that I would have got, and now I'll never get business off him again, or if I do, it's less business or whatever. So I think, I mean, I'm trying to break it down, but I think just in general, it makes you feel good. Like as humans ourselves, we're, there's tests done where we feel better when we give. Do you know what I'm saying? We feel better when we give instead of, I don't know if I want to get into the whole experiment, but basically, if you got £20 and you spend it on yourself, you're going to feel less happier than if you got £20 and you spend it on someone else. It's something in it where it just makes you feel good anyway. Do you know what I mean? Let alone the kind of, I guess, the good karma, you can call it, that you get back from more people that would want to work with you, or even want to be around you because you're just providing value. And it doesn't have to be money. Like it can be advice. It can be a podcast like this. It could be anything, but just some kind of value that you can give. Do you know what I'm saying? And like it will change the way it will change your mindset about business, and more than likely it will change your results. So it's very important. Anyway, let's move on from that. So the next mindset that you should try and incorporate into your already probably interesting mindset. Mine's quite interesting. Um, okay, so don't. Okay, so what happens? But basically, don't treat this as a job, right? As a traditional 9 to 5 job. So what happens is most people are trying to transition from having a 9 to 5 job to maybe working for themselves, setting up a business, whatnot. Um, and what happens with this is that they're used to they're institutionalized, you could say. So they're used to waking up certain time, starting at 9 o'clock, finishing at 5, getting their paycheck at the end of the week or at the end of the month, hating Mondays, putting up a post on Wednesday for hump day, all that kind of stuff. And it's just that you get to, if the job mindset doesn't work for the kind of solo entrepreneur or business starter or whatever, it just doesn't work. Do you know what I'm saying? And why I say that is because it will hinder you if you expect it to be a job. Because the questions you get, for people, because most people, that's going to be the case for most people. It's going to be people that have been in a job for a certain amount of time. They're sick of it. They're tired of it, and they want to switch to working for themselves, making their own money, and doing all that good stuff. So what happens is they're used to the comfort. They're like a lion in a zoo. A lion has been captured or born in captivity and is now so used to just getting a steak every month that they've forgotten how to hunt. They've forgotten about days where they won't get any deer or won't get any zebra or whatever they eat. And they've completely forgotten about the art of the hunt, and they're so used to just lying there, showing up, and getting their money. And this is the thing: you have to switch from being that zoo hunter to back to being a wild, with that zoo lion, back to being a wild lion, right? So you can't worry about things about like when you're starting, because a lot of people ask this. Like I'm on a couple Facebook groups for Amazon, and a lot of people ask like, oh, so how long will it take before I start making my money back? I've got to put up, £30 to pay this monthly fee from Amazon. When can I expect to get that? The thing is, the truth of the matter is, yeah, if you're worried about £30 to pay Amazon back for the month, you're just not gonna make it. Like you're not gonna do anything. Do you know what I'm saying? Because £30, you should be looking to dwarf that. And even if it doesn't work out in any way, right? You've just lost £30, but you've had the opportunity to have something that potentially could be life changing. Do you know what I mean? So the £30 is completely irrelevant. But people have asked this question, and then people will ask like, oh, like how long before I start making money? It's gonna take how long it's gonna take? Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's so variable. If you want the real answer, it's so variable. It depends how much money you're putting in. Depends how much research you've done before. How many mentors that you've got. So many things before you start making money. Do you need the money? Are you going to spend it? Are you able to put it back in? It's completely variable. So there is no answer. It's I'm not going to get pissed off at the question. There's no stupid questions, but it's kind of an irrelevant question, because it's like saying, I don't know. I don't know. I'm usually good at examples, but I can't think of one right now. Yeah, I don't know. It's like saying, oh, if I go out to a nightclub, how long before I start having fun? Well, you can have fun whenever, innit? It doesn't, you know what I mean? It's irrelevant. I've been promised this fun. Like, when will I get it? No, man. No, it doesn't work like that. It's just that you've just got to do everything you can from your perspective, and when the money comes, the money comes. If it, all you need to know is that it works, right? And you know it works because other people have done it and they're doing it and they're successful at doing it. So if other people can do it, then you know that you can do it as also. So if you learn about it and you start doing it and you start seeing, a little bit of profit, then obviously it's something that will eventually, even if you're not making profit straight away, it's something that you can foresee will make money eventually. So you really need to get out your head of like waiting for the money to come in and blah, blah, blah. If you need the money, then do it on the sides, and obviously keep your job. You can easily do that. Not just Amazon, you can probably do it with other businesses. Although, there's counter to that, but I'll get to that in a sec. But yeah, so it's just something that will take up energy, and it's just the wrong mindset to have, because it's like you're focused on the wrong things. You should be focused on learning the business completely and forget about the money. Like, forget about it, like, completely. I know it is hard because there's certain times when I did eBay, I didn't make money for like 6 months to a year or something like that. I didn't make any kind of profit. And then, there's times when you're like, oh man, like, what am I going to do here? Like, is this actually going to work? And then, but every time you just keep going in it. And that, yeah, so that takes me to my next mindset state. Don't know if that's the word, actually, mindset state. But yeah, so the next mindset is, don't try, just do it. Like Nike say. The thing is with this, yeah, it's like the learning. Okay, so I kind of did it the hard way, and it's just, apparently it's the way I learn. I'm an active learner, so I just like to start doing the thing, and whether it succeeds or fails, I've learned something. I've learned how this thing works. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, hopefully it succeeds, but even if it fails, I've learned more than if it would have succeeded. Like, if it succeeds, especially when I started earlier, when I was younger, if it succeeds, you start getting ego about it, and you're like, oh man, like, I'm the man. Like, this thing is, and you get like a false perception of it. You think things are just easy, especially if it's your first business. You think things are easy, and you overlook a lot of things, which will then trip you up further. So later on down the line. So what you need to do is just almost you need to just fail, fail as much as you can. But the the mindset really is the difference between really making that choice within you to do this thing and not, right? So if you say, oh yeah, I'm going to try that thing, it means that you're basically going to dip your toe in, and if if it doesn't feel too good, if the water's too cold, you're not gonna go in, right? So don't like try would if I say, oh, I'm going to try this business, it would suggest that it could not work, right? As in, I'm going to try it, hopefully it'll work. If it doesn't work, then it wasn't for me, kind of thing. Um, but I think like you need to have the mindset of this is just a thing that I'm gonna do, and it's better to have the mindset of an overall mindset. So maybe it's not good to have that mindset for just one business, for example. So maybe even say Amazon, you can have the mindset, okay, I'm gonna do this Amazon thing, and it might not work out. So it's better to have a mindset of I'm gonna do some kind of business. I'm gonna find the business that works for me, and I'm gonna do that. And this is what I'm gonna do. People are making money from business. I want to make money from business. I'm doing it. That's the mindset you need to have. So if you have that mindset, what it means is that you can have as many failures, but this is just a thing that you're going to do. It doesn't matter how much you fail, because the truth of the matter is that all the people that are successful, all the people that you probably look up to and motivate you on YouTube and do all that, it's not that they're it's not that they're geniuses or they're amazing or they're a different breed of person or whatever. The only difference is that they just didn't give up. Like they failed and didn't give up. They failed and then tried something else, or they failed and tried the same thing but in a different way. Do you know what I mean? They're not. It's not that they're superhuman. They just have failed more. Do you get what I mean? Like that's all it is. Like Richard Branson probably failed tons of times, like tens of times, tens and tons. He probably failed a lot before he made it, and it's not that there's something extra special about him. The special thing about him is that he just didn't give up. And most people that do well in anything is that they're just around the longest. Do you know what I mean? That's all it is. They work hard and they're around the longest, and that's why they make the money, because they learn the most. They're the most knowledgeable about it. They've got the most experience, and they're resilient. See, this is really the thing that we're talking about, is resilience. So you have to be a resilient person, because a lot of people, if you think about it like a competition, right? So if there's 100 people start, and there's actually mad statistics on Amazon FBA anyway, where say like 1,000, say 100, just for convenience, say 100 people sign up to Amazon FBA in January. By the end of the year, there will only be 10 of those original 100 left, and that's a big, that's a big thing. So by you just staying, even if you haven't made any money, you're ahead of not only those 90 people, but anyone else that now starts from the bottom. You're already ahead of them in the queue. Do you get what I mean? So it's really the resilience. You've got to make a decision, and something's got to switch in your head where you're like, yo, I'm doing this. Like I don't care. I'm doing this thing. Once you do that, you have as best chance as you can of making it. Obviously, you got to do other stuff. You can't just, not do your research and not, whatever it is you need to do. You still have to do the core stuff. But obviously, you'll learn the best things to do over the course of that year, where everyone else is dropping out. But it's just having this thing of like, I'm gonna do this. Like I'm definitely. There's no two ways about it. And the thing is like if you notice in your life, when you've made that decision, like something just overcomes you and you're like, there's no doubt in your head that you're gonna do this thing. And it's happened to me a few times in my life where I'm like, I'm just doing this. I haven't got a choice. I think with me, I had a lot of, I had a few things that kind of motivated me even more to do it. So I'm not married, but say you're married and you got kids and blah blah blah. That can motivate you when you can be like, yo, I'm doing. There's no two ways about it. I'm doing this because I've got a family to support, and not only that, I want them to see a successful entrepreneur because I want to pass that down to them. So if you have those kind of, if you need those kind of motivations, then I'm sure you can find them as well. Do you know what I mean? But it's really switching your mind from this idea of like, oh, I'll give it a go to, nah, I'm doing this. Like, I'm definitely doing this. Do you know what I'm saying? Because even with me, like, I never did Amazon FBA. I've only been doing it, I mean, it's less than 2 years, like a year and 10 months, right? It's coming up to 2 years in April. Um, so, so starting from scratch, like, I had to learn. But the reason why I knew that I could do it was because I already had a successful eBay business or semi. Let's not say successful. Semi-successful. It was all right. Um, you know, it was all right. So I knew that it was possible to make money online. Like I knew it was a thing that could happen. Now, and this is the thing with most people is that they don't understand that this is a thing that can happen. This is actually a thing. For most people, it's like, I heard so and so did well online, but nah, they've always been smart. They've always had that knack. So they don't accept that it's something that they themselves can do, right? It's not in their world. It's not a possibility, and that's what I'm saying. Not only do you have to make it a possibility, you have to make it a reality in your head before you even attempt anything. Do you know what I'm saying? Before you even put your foot in, you need to understand that this is a reality that can not only has happened, it can happen, and it will happen for you. Do you know what I'm saying? You have to really kind of embody that. Um, yeah, like it's there's really no other way. But like this is the thing. It's like you you set your own limits. Do you get it? Like you actually set your own limits in life in general. But we'll keep it financial. But there's deeper aspects to this as well, which well, I may do a YouTube channel on that. But there's deeper aspects as well. So, but you actually set your limits. So if you think that okay, so if I asked you like, oh, could you see yourself earning £1 million next year? Ask one of my friends, a friend of mine, a while ago, and he was like, I mean, I love it, but no, I can't really see it. So there's nothing wrong with that. Do you know what I'm saying? That's cool, whatever in it. But it's if you're cool with your situation, that's cool, right? But if you're like, oh man, I wish I was a million. Oh, my life would just be complete if I was a millionaire. Or you're moaning about your job or whatever, then you really need to notice that you're setting your own limits. You think that it's impossible to make £1 million, for example. You think that it's the most impossible thing. So just for the very fact that you thought it's impossible, it is impossible for you because, and I'm not just saying that in a kind of airy fairy, woo woo way, as people say. Um, what I mean is that if you in your head have thought that it's impossible, say, what that means is that you're not looking for any opportunities that could potentially give you that thing. So, say for example, you're working at Asda, which I've done before for a long time. Um, there's people at Asda where they can't see themselves outside of Asda. They can't. This for them, it's the best that they can do, and because they think it's the best they can do, what that means is that they're not going to look for other jobs. They're not going to train themselves. They're not going to, you know, make themselves more kind of job worthy or look for higher paid jobs or whatever. They're not going to do any of that because they've said to themselves, this is my ceiling, this is what I can do. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing. If you knock it up to like say making 100 grand, people say you're earning 25 average wage, and we're talking about earning 100 grand. That's so far for you that you're not looking at ways that you could even possibly make 100 grand. Do you know what I mean? You're not even trying because you're like, oh shit, I'm grateful for this. And yeah, you should be grateful for that. But at the same time, if it is an issue for you and you do want to make more money and blah, 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 you have to realize that, or you have to acknowledge and believe that you can make that just because it literally changes your actions. Do you get what I'm saying? So because with eBay, with me, actually it was a slow build up. So it's not easy to just say, oh yeah, I believe I can make £1 million. But you could believe that, say you're on 25, you could believe you could make 40. Do you know what I'm saying? And if you do that and you end up making a 40, why not believe that you can make 80? Or why not believe that you can, when you make that, why not believe that you can make 100? So with me, it was exactly the same thing. So um, I'll get into this one, but I did a thing called match betting, which is completely legal and all that. And I made 2 grand, and I was like, yo, like, I can make 2 grand from this. Why can't I make more money on the internet? Why can't I learn something that I could keep making money from? And then I did eBay. And then one year I turned over 50 grand. And I go like, wow, like, if I can make 50 grand on eBay, maybe I can make 100 grand. You know what I'm saying? And then it just makes it more real. Like, it's easy to say, it's hard to, I guess, imagine it, but you can take steps at this. Do you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I'm not saying force your thoughts and go like, oh, like do all that secret stuff and say, oh, I'm a millionaire, because it doesn't exactly work like that. But how it does work is that if you can also get around people, even if it's just on the internet, if you're reading about people that have made money and have done well in business and blah blah blah, makes it more real. Do you get it? So, and learning from their experiences and whatnot, it makes it more real. So yeah, so like I said, because I had the successful eBay thing, it wasn't that much of a jump, and it wasn't. I mean, it was still amazing. Don't get me wrong, so grateful, and it went better than I thought it would go. But it made the thing possible. Do you know what I'm saying? In my mind, like, because I'd already made money on eBay, it was nothing for me to jump 2 foot into the Amazon thing. And it's weird because now when I'm teaching people, I see them kind of apprehensive, testing the waters. And that's cool. You got to test the waters. But what I'm saying is that it's just a big advantage to really acknowledge and to really believe that, or not even know that you can make a lot of money or whatever it is you're trying to do. Do you know what I'm saying? And just a caveat as well, like, money's not everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that brings me on to the next thing. The next mindset you need to have is to get out of the role of being a consumer. So what do I mean when I say this? So basically, a consumer is someone who's led by things like trends, status symbols, clothes, follows, shops, and kind of just buys into adverts, and is someone who's almost like a demographic where they say, all right, I'm looking for someone who's 30 to 40 male, blah, blah, blah. This is what they like. And, you're the person that if you're marketed to in a certain way, you'll buy the stuff that they want you to buy. So it's important to get out of this mindset because, number one, it's a drain on your money. So if you think about it, if you spend, I don't know, say you're on 20 grand and you spend 5 grand on stuff you don't really need, but it's just been marketed to you so well that you've ended up buying 5 grand's worth of stuff that you don't really need. Do you know what I mean? You could have bought a car for £1,000 to get you back and forth to work, but instead you spent 4 grand on finance. You know what I mean? So what that means is that 5 grand that you put in, you've lost. You've got stuff, but that's all you got. It's not going to do anything for you. They're not assets. If you turn that 5 grand and you invested that, say you even put in a stock market, FTSE 100 or whatever, what it means is that you'll then get 10%. Say for example, say you get 10%. So 5 grand that turns into 5,500. The next year, you get 5,550 on top of the money. No, sorry, you get another 550, so that turns into 6 grand, and so on and so forth. So you've got that money and it's making money. Do you know what I'm saying? As opposed to you just spending money. So to really get out of the mind of a consumer, one sec. Okay, so to be able to get out of the mind of a consumer, you have to really, this is a deep one, and it kind of leaks into other things, but you have to realize that you're enough as you are. Yeah, hit you out of left field. Yeah, you have to realize you're enough as you are, right? Which means that what they do when they sell you stuff is they basically sell you the idea that you're not good enough unless you have A, B, and C. So they go to you, you're not good enough. Your car at the moment is a piece of shit. And if you had this car that we're trying to sell you, this BMW or whatever it is, your life will be better. And how we do this is we show a really cool guy with a nice girl driving a BMW, and that could be you. You just need to get this car. So what happens? You take this car out on finance, you can't really afford it. That £300 that you're spending every month on this car could be going into, some kind of investment, could be going into your Amazon business. You could buy £300 worth of stock every month, which could then turn into 500, 600, what have you. And basically, you've been fooled. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's hard. It's hard to get out of it because it's something that we've all grown up with and we've all had to deal with. And it's sad in a way, but there's deep levels to that, and I'll get into that on a different platform probably. I'll keep you posted on that. But yeah, so there's levels to it, man. So we basically all been manipulated to be consumers. That's how society works. That's the bread and butter. That's what the growth that you see that you'd make from stock market, the 10% growth of whatever company, is coming from us because they're finding ways. Their whole job, businesses' jobs, their jobs are to make us spend more and more money. That's what will give them growth, right? To have more and more money. Do you know what I'm saying? To spend more and more money. So these are the forces that are against us. So you can either buy into it, or you can buy out of it and make money from it. And that sounds a bit Machiavellian and whatnot. But it's just the way of the world, innit? So instead of putting money directly into their pocket, which then goes to their stockholders, you could be the stockholder instead of spending that money. You could be the stockholder and make money from the other people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, anyone that listens to me, I'll tell them get out of the consumer game completely anyway. So it's not about manipulating people. From my perspective, and but the sad thing is that it happens. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's this whole thing of like just needing stuff. You don't really need anything. And that's not to say that you shouldn't spend money, or whatever, or you shouldn't have nice things, but just calculate the things right. So, make sure you got your assets in line. Make sure you got money coming in. Make sure you can afford these things. It's not necessarily a bad thing to buy a car on finance, but just so long as you are able to kind of have other things to balance it. Do you know what I mean? Have good investments that balance it. You know what I'm saying? But there's nothing wrong with it. It's just getting out the mindset that you need that thing. You know what I'm saying? And that goes back to the kind of the scarcity mindset again. It's like you're doing these things, or not you personally, you right there, but you're buying stuff to almost like compensate. Do you get what I mean? To how can I say it? You're buying stuff from a needy position. You're trying to get your confidence up. You're trying to like yourself. You're trying to feel better about yourself, and you're doing it from a needy position. And one thing I've noticed, like with business and with everything, is like as soon as it clicked to me that I don't need money, and that I know everyone will say, "Oh, everyone needs money," but it's just a mindset, right? So as soon as it clicked to me that I don't really need it, I want it, I'd like it, but I don't need it. Do you know what I'm saying? As soon as that kind of clicked to me, it changed the whole game. Do you know what I'm saying? I cut off loads of direct debits that weren't doing nothing for me. I stopped spending money on stupid stuff like I don't even know. I don't even know what I kind of spent it on. But you know what I mean. You just kind of keep an eye on it. Clothes and stuff like that. And as soon as you change that mindset, you'll notice that things will just change for you. Like 100%, things will change for you. When you don't need this stuff is when you'll get this stuff. Do you get what I mean? And even now, yeah, I can afford more than I ever in my life. Ever at this point in my life, I can afford more than I ever could for the not in my previous life. It's late, man. It's late. Ever before, I can afford more than I could before, basically. But I'm not spending that much money. I need to. I probably should check that, but I don't. It doesn't feel like I'm spending that much money. I'm not buying that much stuff. I'm buying stuff I need, and I'm taking advantage of it as well. Like I'm buying stuff that improves me and helps me, going forward and stuff like that. But I'm not buying kind of just unnecessary kind of show off stuff. And if you look at like all the rich people at the moment around, like people like Bill Gates, Richard Branson. There's loads. I don't know. I saw something on Facebook, probably fake news, but most of them they just drive normal cars. Like I'm talking about billionaires, yeah, like people who've got 100 billion. That's 100,000 million. Imagine that. They've got more. Jesus, crazy. But imagine that they've got that in a bank and they're driving a car that costs 10 grand or 20 grand or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just a shift in the mindset, and also it's a shift in what your goal is. So is your goal just to look rich, or is your goal to do some good shit? Like, is your goal to actually make some kind of difference, to help someone, like to add value? That's the big thing as well. It's like what you really get paid for is just the equivalent of how much value you're giving. Do you get what I'm saying? So, say in the case of Amazon FBA, it's just that you're giving good deals and you're getting rewarded for that. You're sourcing products and there's a value to it because people want those good deals. Do you know what I'm saying? But obviously that's not the most altruistic thing that you could do. But say something like, I don't know, like you invent something that helps people cook easier or something like that. You're giving value to someone. And you get that back. Do you know what I'm saying? At some point, just because you're giving value, that's just how it works. That's pretty much how the system works. With Amazon, it's interesting because, I consciously thought that people are spending a lot of money online, and you just need to find a way to get into a system. Do you know what I'm saying? Where you can you can be part of that system. Amazon's a massive, massive company, but if you can, what's amazing about them is there's an opportunity where you can be a part of that. Do you know what I'm saying? You can be a part of that system. People are coming to the site, people are buying stuff. You just need to get yourself in the middle of it. That's it. That's the whole game. But anyway, I'll do another Amazon, I'll do a proper Amazon podcast at some point, where I'll kind of break down, the ins and outs of getting started with that. I am gonna do coaching as well if you need that. It's not a priority for me at the moment, but it's something that maybe I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. I don't mind doing it though. It's just that I don't want to get into all that, but it's just that basically I always feel that you can help more people with something like a podcast. With coaching, it's quite difficult because you go one by one help people, but we're working on it. We'll do something about that. Okay, so I think we kind of covered most of them. The other just a little small one is just do your research, but don't be afraid to jump in. So what you need to do is just make sure you know what's going on. Do as much research as you can, as possible, but at the same time, don't use that as an excuse to procrastinate. So a lot of people, what they do is they'll try and almost become like a theoretical expert on whatever they're trying to do. So they'll read all the books about Amazon. They'll know all these I don't really know that many people, experts on it or whatever. But they'll be like, yeah, I've done this program and I've done this and I've done that, and they haven't really started. Do you get what I mean? And so you have to really balance that. You do your research as far as you know that it will work. So get in your head that this thing's going to work. Once you've done that, people learn differently. That's what they say. But like I said, I like to jump in. So if you, I don't know, I just think it's better. I'm not gonna lie. I know your learning style might be different, but I just think it's better. Like just get some money that you can lose. Whatever the business is, get some money that you can lose and just have a go. Do you get what I'm saying? Obviously, if it's a big business that's quite cost intensive, it's a bit more trickier. But just test it. Just do market research. Do what you can, but balance it. So don't you know if you're using it as an excuse to procrastinate. Don't use it as an excuse to procrastinate. Just jump in and just do it. Just start somewhere. Do you know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, I don't really know. Like, I don't know another way where you could do that. Like, I don't. Research is cool, but like, just give it a go, innit? Even if it's just a little experiment or whatever, just give it a go and just start. And that's because yeah, you just don't want to get lost in lost in the procrastination and the research phase. Like, although that is important as well, obviously. Um, okay, so I think that's all I've got written down. And I kind of covered a few other things there as well. Um, what else? What else? What else? Um, I guess. Nah, I guess we'll leave it there. I think that's a good it's a good amount of topics covered there. Obviously, if you've got any questions, hit me up. Um, yeah, man. So yeah, hit me up on SoundCloud. I'm on Instagram. I think it's BD, which is BIYID, or maybe B Des. I can't remember. Twitter's B Des. All this will be there. All this will be somewhere. Um, but yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Just get started. Yeah. All right. So anyway, so coming up, we'll look at more kind of Amazon focused podcasts. Would be great to talk to some other people about this kind of stuff. Um, and yeah, man. All right, cool, man. All right, peace. That was good. Good luck in whatever you're doing. Any questions, hit me up, and we'll see you again.